same schools that lived out there. But then when we came back, we went back to the house.
Thank you, Rob. All right, running late. I'm going to open the November meeting for the town of Chincoteague. If we could all please rise for the invocation. My brother Jay.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for blessings, Lord. We thank you for living in this great place called Chincoteague Island, Lord. And Lord, we just ask your blessings upon this island, upon the government, Lord, upon its people, its citizens, Lord. We thank you for what you've done for this island and for so many years, Lord. And Lord, we just ask your blessings upon this meeting. Let us do these things in accordance with your will and your direction for us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Since we are absent 2 members tonight, I need a motion to have remote participation.
So move.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Billy, and I see Billy's on here. Are you on here, Gene Wayne?
Gene's here.
How about Billy?
Yep, I'm here, man.
All right, good. Glad you're here. All right. First on the agenda is public comment. Hopefully everybody's got the rules. If not, we'll let you know. Louisa, you're the first.
Thank you. It's short and sweet. It's election time, obviously, and always in the at this time, our Democratic group would put up a tent and put up signs. And generally, we had asked the police, I think, and also the former town manager, what would be the time that we could do that. And they said, well, we would like it if you would do it after the council adjourns. So that would mean that we would be doing it about 10:30 or 11 o'clock. So we got used to that, and it was fine. But then the other day, yesterday I think, we saw that tents had gone up in the area where we put them, and early on, and we found out that they had been given permission to do it, and so we figured the fellow we talked to at the police department said, yeah, you go ahead and do it. So we put up our tent, and I just want to say thank you for the concept of being able to put up the tent in daylight, and but I was going to ask if the council could sort of come up with some rules and regulations regarding the election setups. I don't know what you would call it, but it would be really nice if we had something codified so that people would know, and because it maybe not, it'll be different people as the years go on. I think that we've all kind of gotten used to each other. I was really taken with the fact that the Republicans who put up their 2 tents put them in the space that they ordinarily do put, and then they carved off a space for us, you know? And I said, I think that speaks a lot to this island, and it makes me happy that I'm here, because it seems that people, even when we can get very kind of not so nice to each other in talking about politics, that actually when it gets down to it, we do have respect for one another. So I think it would help if we had some rules, and it just takes a few. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Cindy, you're next.
Hi, Cindy Faith from Museum of Chincoteague. Thank you for giving me a few minutes tonight. I wanted to do sort of a little recap of our year so far for 2022, kind of highlight for some folks listening about a couple events that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. And then also mention a program that we have at the museum that's very successful that I want to give more information on for folks. So This has been a banner year for the museum with COVID kind of in the rear view mirror. This has been one of the best years ever at the museum for visitation, so we're really thrilled about that. We are still open. We will be open for November and December for Fridays and Saturdays from 11 to 5. So we hope folks will still come in and visit us if they haven't had a chance this year. So there's still a chance to do that. Two things that we have coming up that I'm pretty excited about. On Saturday, we have a joint event, a celebration between the town of Chincoteague and the museum, and that is Bridging a Century. It will be the 100th anniversary of the causeway and the bridge coming onto the island. We're also, used to a bridge being here, but it was an amazing accomplishment 100 years ago. It's a two-part celebration. If people would like to join us on Saturday at 2 p.m., the town will be having a ribbon cutting and a little ceremony where Bridge Street is, and that is kind of next to Sundial Books and on the southern portion of the Robert Reed Park. That's at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Follow that, come on over to the museum at 3 o'clock. We're going to have a presentation in the Legacy Pavilion. And then inside the museum after that, we will open a new exhibit, which is called Cast of Characters, which will be all about the folks that made that day such a success. I hope everyone will enjoy the exhibit and all the festivities for the day, and then we'll have a reception. If folks can't come for that particular day, this exhibit will be open for the remainder of our season, so hopefully everyone can come out and visit us. After that, in December, we are doing a very popular event, which is the Christmas Tree Village. So that will be on those Fridays and Saturdays in December. We hope folks will come out for that. Individuals and businesses set up a tree. People can come out and vote for their favorite, and it is a fundraiser for the museum. But this year we've added kids' crafts that will be available for free. So you can come on out, vote for your favorite tree. Your kids can come out, have a little Christmas treat, and do a craft. And it's just a wonderful event for everyone. We're excited about it. And we've got a bunch of volunteers that are coming, and many of them are in this room right now, so it's going to be a very fun event. And lastly, I wanted to mention a little bit about the Rhodes Scholar Program. 2023 will be our 30th year working with the Rhodes Scholar organization. That is an internationally known travel organization for adults. It's an educational program. It has been a very important part of the museum's life for the last 30 years, but maybe people don't know how it has affected the whole island as a whole. People travel here in groups of about 30 every single week. They've never met each other, perhaps, and they come and get an exclusive, all-inclusive trip to Chincoteague, where they learn about the island, the watermen, decoy carvers, and all kinds of aspects about the island, including the ponies. We have a great time with them, and it does help support financially the museum. But I will say I have a little list here. This year was not a typical year. Normally we do 30 to 35 programs a year. This year we did 20. But I will just throw some statistics out your way just to kind of let you know how the whole town benefits from this program. Well, not only do we employ 5 local residents, we also have 12 part-time contractors that work on this program. Lodging this year for those participants, we had 2,956 nights rented out in local hotels, who now then profited $865,000 from these folks visiting 5,312 meals in local restaurants. We've also had caterers, boat cruises, guest speakers. The list goes on and on and on. So this program, which benefits the museum so much, has also supported the entire town. I just say, if you see any Rhodes Scholar people walking around during the shoulder seasons and in the summer, they're often wearing a little name tag. Now you have an idea of who they are, why they're here, and how much of an influence they've made on the island. And they have such a great time. They come back again on their own or bring friends with them. So it is a snowballing effect, and they actually just say they can't wait to come back. And believe it or not, some of them have actually moved here. So I think we've done a good job of bringing real great cheerleaders to the island. So we're thrilled about that. And then finally, I just want to say that the museum is so grateful for all the support over the years from the town of Chincoteague. We really could not do any better in any other town. The support here, back and forth, is just, the list is long of all the things that we could thank the town of Chincoteague for. So for the support you've given us in the past and today and in the future, I just want to thank you very much. We feel very blessed to be on this island. So, by the way, I want to just thank Panky Nelson for getting all those statistics together for me. She did a lot of work at last minute to get that. Anything I could answer? Any questions? All right, everyone have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Okay, Mike, you're up next.
Good evening. Sorry, I'm not aware of the rules, so I'm not 100% prepared, but this is in reference to the cigarette tax that's going to go into effect January 1st, 2023.
Excuse me, Mike, could
Sir.
you just state your name for the record?
Oh, Mike Youngquist, Ridge Road Pit Stop.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I am a first timer, hopefully not a last timer. The cigarette tax effective January 1st, 2023, how I found out about that was within 15 minutes of each other, two different patrons came into the store out there and said that hey, have we imposed this cigarette tax in the store? And I told them I didn't know what we were talking about. I referenced the Accomack County tax that went into effect January 1st of 10 cents a pack. They said they had learned about it on BOC, so I checked the prior beacons, which we keep all of those. I didn't see anything in the legal notices. Then I went to BOC on the internet, and I actually read the article. I further went to the Eastern Shore Post and went through the archives and finally found that in the archives legal notices. So my problem there is when I applied for my ABC license out there, the regulations were I had to publish that in the most local publication to the community into where the store was going to be selling ABC. That way, the immediate community could oppose, and then we'd further the progress on that. I don't understand why people in Ancock really care about what Chincoteague's doing for a cigarette tax. Okay. My first question would be, why wasn't that put into the Chincoteague Beacon where everybody sees it on this island? That's our only publication, and it's kind of like a sidestep of, hey, the legality of it, put it in a local paper that's available to us here on the island. But working 90 to 110 hours a week, I can't go through every paper, every publication. So my customers actually told me about this tax. So the direct contact with the business should have been maybe, in my opinion, there's only 7 of us who sell tobacco on this island. This is what we're going to do. Give me an opportunity, or anybody else, the corporations and whatnot, to do this months ago. I'm doing it now after the fact, after I had a higher authority in the town call and ask if we sold tobacco, which of course we do, right? But I think I might be too late. My question is, first question would be, why wouldn't that have been publicized in a more local publication as to where I may have had feedback, because I get the Beacon delivered to my store every Thursday. And I don't know if this is a forum for a question or a Q&A, but it's just one of the topic points.
Unfortunately, that's one of the main rules. It's not a Q&A. This is a session where you give your input and we listen, but there's no back and forth.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. So I'm not going to take up a whole lot more time. So that's that there. My second would be, if you address a problem and you don't have a solution, well, now you're just a complainer, right? So my thing is, with imposing of that 40 cents per pack tax, granted, we negate the 10% or the 10 cent a pack tax, which is only a 30% increase from what we're paying right now. The timing of that is crucial. January 1st, we have high fuel prices. We have a potential rationing of heating oil, right? Heating oil is $5.79 a gallon. Everybody knows that right now. High food costs with no end in sight. Is there another way? So I propose, is it okay to propose something?
Sure.
All right. What I propose is we agree that if local governments were allowed to go ahead and impose a tax, why would Accomack County get any? That doesn't help us out at all. Why can't we just do the 10 cents a pack that Accomack County is doing for now? It's a wash. Our customers are used to paying that. Okay, they saw that increase. And then incrementally impose up to the 40 cent. Not in January, right? It's not tourism. The response I got was tourism is gonna help. Well, there's no tourists here in January. You know, we have people who are struggling. Granted, I call it a sin tax. I was on the West Coast for many, many years, and they call it a sin tax: alcohol, tobacco, sugar. You know, taxing Pepsis, for God's sake, right? Anyhow, why not incrementally impose that? We're going to get it. Leave the county out of it. Keep it here with us. I think our citizens should come first. So, and I don't think that they should be tools. Not that we're doing that here, but taxation sometimes could be used as a tool to manipulate that profit margin. All right. And if the tourism was the true target audience tax, where does tourism lie? You know, not picking on hospitality, but how many locals go to a local hotel? If we're actually targeting tourism for increased revenue, do it on things that tourism actually creates more revenue on. That'd be your hospitality and whatnot. So, again, not picking on the hotels, but our locals are going to be here. They drink, they smoke, they go out to supper. You know, they are not involved in the transient taxes. So, if this was actually implemented to encompass the amount of tourists we get here, not picking on tourism either, but if that's the premise, stick to the premise, not the easy low-hanging fruit of hit the smokers. Next thing you know, it might be something else, but where our economy is oppressed, you know, we know that our wages are oppressed, but we live here we give up excess medical care and things. We might have to travel an hour to see a specialist, but we compromise, you know, what we have around here to do that. So I'm not going to go down that rat hole. What would happen if we said, you know what, not picking on them too, it's just an example. We can easily charge 40 cents a scoop on ice cream at Island Creamery. Nobody's going to see it. They're going to carry that on to somebody else, right? Why do we got to pick on the essentials? Granted, it's an addiction, you know, it's a habit, whatever. But anyway, again, I don't want to go down that route. I just think there's a different way we can impose this, because I have numbers. I'm not going to go through the exact numbers, but I'm going to go through 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. To date, our tobacco sales over at Ridge Road is 24.8% of our sales. Alcohol is 45.6%, prepackaged food 17%. My profit on tobacco is 9%. Anybody in business knows you're targeting that 30 to 40%. 30 is low, you're going to have your doors closed in 8 months. 40% you can hang on. All right, so that's since we opened in April. But to justify the non-tourism part, I'm gonna go starting from April. In April, my tobacco sales were 33% of all sales at 6% profit. May, 24% at 7.3% profit. I'm making 7 cents a pack. Gets folks in the door. They might go ahead and grab a soft drink or something else that I have a higher profit margin on. In June, this is where it starts to get interesting. June, 22.7% tobacco. July, our busiest month, 19.7% tobacco sales. This is where I don't agree, but the tourism strike comes through. August, tourists are fixing to leave. 24% of my sales was tobacco. September, most tourists are gone. 27.6% tobacco. In October, 29.7% of my sales was tobacco. Now, we imposed that 40 cents on these people, $4 a carton. they're going to go on the mainland and grab that. Now, what that's going to do, that's going to cascade down on my alcohol sales, my prepackaged food sales, everything else. They come in, they grab smokes, they grab something else. It's not all about the tobacco. What I'd like to see us do is look at this not at grade. At grade, it looks good, ground level. Let's look at it at the 10,000 foot level, a higher level, and see the broad impact that this is going to impact me. It's going to impact our small mom and pops corporations. You know, not picking on them, but they have 50 stores, 30 stores. We don't have anything. That's all we got. So all I ask is maybe we look at this one more time before imposing that 40% or 40 cent per pack tax in January. And that's all I have. But thank you so much.
Ms. Evelyn?
Mayor, Council, Evelyn Shotwell, Chincoteague Chamber of Commerce, and I don't know what's going on with my throat, so I think it was too much sunshine this weekend. I just want to say thank you all for helping with the Oyster Festival. A month ago, October 8th, we had a little scare on Monday, and it was a sketchy day or two, but thank you all for police force and EMS and the town for helping us have a very successful event. We couldn't do it without you all, and we just thank you for being there and helping us out. It was a very good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. Ms. Julie?
Hi, Mr. Mayor and Town Council. Thanks for this time to update you. I'm Julie Brommer, president of Chincoteague Island Community Cats. And this past weekend, we held our TNR weekend clinic. Over 35 volunteers came out to the old firehouse on Main Street to help, including local residents and visitors from New Hampshire, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. On Friday, the Virginia Beach SPCA neuter scooter arrived, and they altered 25 cats. And on Saturday, they altered 25 more cats. So 50 cats this weekend were spayed, neutered, vaccinated for rabies and distemper, provided flea treatment, microchips, and ear tips. And all 50 cats were returned to their caregivers and back to their outdoor homes. Thanks so much to the town for allowing us to use the ambulance bay. It worked out very well. We had the neuter scooter park on Cropper, and our volunteers just had to carry the cats down the sidewalk. It was very short transport for them this time. And special thanks to the local businesses who offered discounts of hotel stays, restaurants, and stores, and ice cream. Discounts for our volunteers was very much appreciated. So thank you for this opportunity to give an update.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, staff reports. Mr. Talbot.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you all know, we did not have a regular meeting in the month of October. See if we've missed an item, agenda adoption.
Sugar.
It's not in.
That's right. Read right past it. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adopt tonight's agenda. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'll just natural.
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for pointing that out and catching me. All right, go ahead, Mike.
Back to what we were saying, Mr. Mayor. As you know, we did not have a regular meeting in October, so you did not get a September staff report. So I've asked everyone to give us both months and try to consolidate the numbers as best we can. So we'll go ahead and get started, but just be aware we are giving you 2 different months here. Unicode, as you all know, we waited for quite a while for Unicode to get our code online. It is now online. I encourage everyone to go to the website and visit it. It's very easy to use, very helpful. You can search by a specific word. There's libraries available, so you can see other codes from other municipalities, which are extremely helpful when you're writing new ordinances and that sort of thing. So I would encourage everyone to take a look at that. It is on our website. It's in a prominent place. You should have no trouble finding it. We also, and what we're looking at now on the screen is Municode meetings, which we've been using since for a little over a year now. It makes it very easy to compile an agenda, and hopefully the council's finding that very easy to use and research as well. That also publishes our agenda packet and minutes and a link to the video on our website. That's a Municode product as well. So it's one-stop shopping when you get to our website for meetings. Our well relocation project, speaking in September with staff, with Senator Warner and Representative Loria, our well legislation did get added, or did not get added, I should say, to the National Defense Authorization Act, which they both hoped it would. We were successful in getting the language modified so that we can now consider desalinization as well as groundwater wells as a point source of water. And we also did manage to get the wording changed to allow 10 years instead of just 5 to complete the project. The October update for that, and I speak to Senator Warner's office, is that not much is happening in Congress these days due to the election, but as soon as the election's over, they will be looking to insert our language into a current bill that is dealing with PFAS. It's a very good fit, I'm told, and they're hopeful that they can get it inserted this year. If not, they'll be going back to the board, back to the chalkboard and starting again next year. The Chincoteague Center, bookings for the Chincoteague Center have been steady. We had 8 commercial events and 6 nonprofit community events booked in the month of September. For the upcoming months, we're booking now through the end of 2023, just to show you how far out we are. The picture you see there is a wedding setup that was on the 24th. The bride and groom were very happy with it. They did make the place look very, very good. October update, as you know, we have designed a new HVAC system for that building. I can't wait. We will no longer be relying on gas-fired boilers and air-cooled chillers, which have served their usefulness. This will be large package system heat pumps, which will provide on-demand energy in either direction we want to go. They'll also be controlled by an online control system, which will make it very easy to change temperature and add air or subtract air anywhere we want to go. Both jobs have been let for the air handlers, and for the second phase of that, we hope to be doing that over the winter in February or March, depending on the equipment was a 30-week lead time, and when we get good delivery times on that, we'll go ahead and schedule the work. The contractor knows we're in a hurry because we have to do it in the winter when we're not doing anything there. Also, the center, for those who say that we don't do anything local, the center hosted 6 events in the month of October. All but one of those were for nonprofit local events. So we are attempting to get local things going on at the center. One was a commercial event, which was better pay, of course. Financial report in the month of September. As we previously reported, the first quarter of the year, our revenues for general government were already at 59%, but that's due in large part to the second tranche of ARPA funds, which didn't make it until after the beginning of the fiscal year, the new fiscal year. When we applied this correction, we were at 38% for September. Jumping ahead to next month, which is October, we're at 49% for October. So still looking pretty good on that. Mosquito control expenses are high due to the purchase of stock chemicals for aerial spraying. We were managed to, just today, to buy some more chemical before the price increases in January 1st. Significant price increase. We were able to get it at the old price. So we'll have some stock ready for next season. As you know, we are going to do a review of our program over the winter. Center revenues are high due to the transfer of the investment funds from the authority. We are using most of those, as you know, for the updated capital projects that we just discussed. Moving down to meals and transit for September. Transient occupancy tax was up 15.8% over September of 22, and meals taxes are about the same as same with that period from last year. Percentage of budget indicates that we are back where we should be with respect to the pre-pandemic September numbers, which is what we're comparing to now. Moving to October, transit occupancy taxes continue to be strong, although both transit and meals are down with respect to FY22 numbers, 4% and 13% respectively. This is further evidence that we think FY22 is a bit of a bubble. People with cabin fever ready to get out. We are still, though, when you go back to pre-COVID numbers, are showing strong collections in both, and the percentage of budget is at or ahead of where we should be this time of year. So I think that our conservative budgeting last year as far as revenues for transient meals was on the money so far. I think we're in good shape there. Grants, we are pursuing 2 grant opportunities with the DEQ with additional ARPA funds. The first is the Septic Local Partner Program. It's intended to develop and implement a funding program for projects that provide septic system repair, and this is to individuals. It replaces or upgrades a wastewater solution. There is no local partner match, and the grant amount could be as much as $40,000 if the applicant is well qualified. The second grant we're pursuing is a sewage collection system program. It will provide grants for municipalities to construct or repair septic sewage collection systems. Qualifying projects must eliminate septic system or straight pipe discharges by connecting homes and businesses to a sewer collection system. As you know, we are also pursuing that and have been for some time. For this type of project, costs associated with establishing the sewer collection system are considered eligible, and HRSD is assisting us with quotes and estimates for both of those opportunities. The cigarette tax, I contacted the Northern Neck PDC, which administers the cigarette tax, as you know, for us. And they have been tracking, I asked them to give me some numbers on gross sales for the island. They have actually been tracking our folks for the folks that sell cigarettes on the island since July 1st, beginning of the fiscal year. And you can see if we had implemented that back in July, right now, the tax remitted to the town would equal about $27,000. As we've said before, the Northern Neck PDC pretty much does everything for us. They take 5% off the top before remitting the tax to us. Building and zoning, in the month of September, the total value of building construction was $520,000. Total permit fees were about $2,500, and when we move down to October, we go to a total value of building construction of $1.1 million for a total building fee permit fees collected of $5,100. And there's a few pictures there of things Mark's been doing. I think that's the KOA and a few under construction. Public Works, in September, we finally graded and seeded Brianna's Condas Park. We, of course, did that in-house. We also did some right-of-way clearing, and the machine you see there is a tractor that we've had for some time, and that side mower we're going to try to replace next year. We've done about all we can do to keep that in business. So, but that's a very handy piece of equipment. We drive down the road and literally cut back a brush from the side of the road. It's very handy, which we've done. There you see some pictures. That's Bunning Road coming off Main Street. Also, in preparation for the rainy season and for the tropical storms, Public Works has been cleaning DIs for some time now. We have a nice piece of equipment, a sewer jet that will break up clogs in the drain lines, and they've been working on those for a couple months. You see them actually doing one here right up near the chamber building. And we use our new to us, well, it's brand new, I guess, street sweeper, which has a vacuum function to vacuum out DIs. So it's serving double duty and seems to be performing well. We also did truck mount and mosquito spraying. We set up for 4 events at the Chincoteague Center. Public Works now is doing all the maintenance and set up in the center for different events. And we took down the Hometown Hero banners in advance of the storm. For the month of October, you can see we've grown grass actually at Brianna's Park. They're working on the plumbing at the bathroom now. We hope to have that up and going here in about a month. We did some tree trimming at the Municipal Center. And we also, a very anticipated project by at least a few people, was installed the permanent nets at pickleball courts there at Donald J. Amron Park. It's a core drill machine that we rented. Actually drills nice, neat holes, and sleeves put in, and the nets are installed, and the pickleball club is enjoying them, I'm told. All the cemeteries were cut for the final time this year. We did some more spraying. And we supported the trick-or-treat operations, of course, at the last day in October, and our normal waterworks operations, which our waterworks guys do an outstanding job. Also, in the last few days here, we have completely installed the next to last floating dock assemblies at the harbor. That's all done now. I got the bill today to prove it. And I got in contact today with the Ravens Marine, which does the floating docks for us, and we should have the last floating dock in-house sometime next month, the month of December, and we will install those as quickly as possible before the cold weather gets us. And with that being said, I'd like to introduce you all to our brand new Public Works Director. His name is James Wesley Parks. Wes, stand up. Wes is from, he goes by Wes, he is from Modestine, he's a local Eastern Shore boy, and we're excited to have him. Wes is the currently, soon-to-be former operations director for Branson Eastern Shore. He's very experienced, and I don't no longer have to worry about anything road-wise or anything else. But, Wes will be starting a week from today.
Welcome aboard.
And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, as long as we bought enough chemicals, because if it stays warm like it is, we're going to have to spray again, because they're bad.
They're bad.
Holy cow. That carried me away.
It's going to blow 40 tomorrow night, so
Yeah,
don't be out here.
Blow across channel. All right. Let's see. All right, Robbie, you're up.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Go over our September report first. We didn't have as much going on in September. On the 7th of September, we did complete training in our new stalker radars. We were able to get all new radars for all the cars on a grant. And so we switched up and tried these new radars. So far, they're working real well. On the 10th, we held our 18th annual poker run. That was very well attended. The auction took in just a little over $20,000. So can't thank the businesses, everybody who helps in it, the decoy carvers, everyone on the island that comes together for that. We couldn't do it without y'all. I just wanted to thank everyone for that. On the 19th through the 23rd, EFC Jim Haney started his SRO, or I'm sorry, the 19th through the 23rd, he attended SRO training in Culpeper. As you all know, we received another grant for him, which this grant is 100% paid. There's no match. But the state comes through this year to get any match on that. And then on the 26th, he started his duties at the Chincoteague Elementary School. And so far, I've heard nothing but great things from staff, parents, everyone. He's doing a great job, and he's loving it. He said he never thought he'd like it as much as he does. So he's doing a great job with that. September 27th through the 29th, myself, Dispatcher Lewis, and Dispatcher Holloway attended the Bailey Act conference over in Virginia Beach, which is our accreditation. They have a conference every year to update us on any new things that are happening and so forth. So we got that out of the way. That's the first one we've had since COVID. It was the first one in 3 years. And then we'll move on to October. On October the 3rd, our officers and dispatchers were activated for 12-hour shifts when we opened the EOC due to Tropical Storm Ian. That was only for one day, really, which was good. October the 7th, Corporal Butler and PSC Arnold provided overnight security for the Oyster Festival. They've been doing that for the last several years since before I came back. And on October the 8th, the officers and myself provided traffic control and foot patrol for the Oyster Festival, which again was very, very well attended, very well put together. Knock on wood here, we've never had any problem at either the Seafood Festival or the Oyster Festival, so. I know. On October the 12th and the 19th, we all recertified with our weapons, which is required once a year for the department. And also on October 19th, myself, Major Greenlee, Sergeant Adams, Corporal Butler, Investigator Barnes, PFC Stevens, SRO Carmody, Dispatcher Lewis, and Holloway attended CPR training. That's also a requirement that we have to do every 2 years. And thankfully, Brian works with us, and Patty is the instructor, Patty Brewer, so she does all of our training for us on that. And also on the 26th, the rest of the department took their training also. So we've got everybody recertified on CPR. On October the 20th, the officers conducted a checkpoint in Church Street and Pension Street and Bunning Road and Ridge Road due to Operation Blue Wave. Operation Blue Wave was a coordinated effort by all law enforcement on the eastern shore of Virginia. From Norman, from Bridge Tunnel all the way up to the Maryland-Virginia line, all state police, sheriff's offices, and each town, I believe, participated in it. We've not had any checking details, basically, since they did away with the town stickers. So it kind of caught a few people off guard, I believe. But it was well. I mean, you know, we had a good time. We didn't go too hard on anybody. I don't believe. We only wrote a few tickets, so but it makes everybody think. You know, that's what they wanted. They wanted basically for the public to know that law enforcement is still there for everybody. So that worked out real well overall. October 25th and 26th, we had our accreditation mock assessment. We have mock assessments throughout. As you know, our accreditation is for a 4-year term. And we have mock assessments throughout that 4 years in order for, basically what it is we have assessors that are assessors for Bailey Act. They come in and take all of our files and just go through each one. This time we asked them to really check on our policies itself. You know, the policy, how the policy was written, because there's been a lot of changes in the law the last 2 or 3 years. So we wanted to make sure that we were on top of that. And we have, Amy, matter of fact, is still working, on getting the changes and stuff done, the recommendations that they have made. So that was a good thing for us, to get caught up on that. On October the 26th, also, Major Greenlee and PFC Stevens attended the MAD award ceremony in Richmond. Jeff received an award from MAD. I believe that last year he had 40 DUIs on the island, I believe. Yeah, he was the top one here. He was close to the top in Accomack County. So they gave him an award, had him out there for a reception and everything, which was very nice. Jeff's doing a great job for us. On the 29th, I assisted the CBSC with their Clam Brother fundraiser also. A little bit of traffic control, wasn't much, but it was good. And then on the 31st, of course, we all, working with Brian and the town and everybody, we all made sure that the kids had a fun, safe Halloween. We blocked off the downtown area and Sunnywood Manor, and it was very well attended, very well, and I think everybody didn't hear any complaints at all, so I believe everybody had a great time, which is good. Glad to be back to it. Yep. And that's basically it. If anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Anybody? Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Mr. Rush.
Good evening. So, as you can see there in your report, I broke it down by the 2 months, and Mr. Talbert's going to be pulling up my presentation. So for September, we finished. Actually, that slide needs to be adjusted, but it was actually one more than the same period in 21. We actually had 84 responses this year in September, and only 83 last year. So we're staying, pretty leveled out since COVID, which we've been increased. These months are typically slower, and unfortunately, they're not that slow anymore. If we go on to the next slide, October, you can see, again, we're staying within that time or that frame, 86 calls. And again, I don't know how that last slide got messed up like that. I apologize, but we're only 5 less than what we were in the period last year. So again, we're staying pretty steady with that. One thing that I have noticed is ever since OCall began staffing 2 ambulances that the county staffed there, that's helped our all-filing responses. So I think that might attribute to some of it, which is nice. We're still having to do some, but not a whole lot. And of course, they're still having to come here for a time or two. We've had a couple days where it's been 3 or 4 stacked up right at one time. So again, we're working together. But I think that's helping us level out a little bit with that. And in these calls, like I said, the 86 of them for the month of October, we're out the door 1.93. And from the time we're on scene, all of these 86 calls have an average of 4.27 minutes. So the national average that they try to shoot for is 8, and we're certainly doing that. And that, again, encompasses those calls that we have to go to the mainland. Some of those places we're going to the mainland, 12, 14 minutes, depending on where it's at. But again, that's certainly a help. Other thing that we're starting to find out too, thankfully we're backing off on our calls, but staffing is becoming an issue, unfortunately. And we didn't think it would get to that point, but what's happening is certainly our full-time staff, they're here, they have to be here, this is their full-time job. We're relying so heavily on our part-timers to staff our second ambulance. That's where we're starting to get into a little bit of trouble, although it's not caused any delays in responses yet. But what's happening, Accomack County's having trouble getting folks. We draw our part-timers from Accomack County. Maryland, some of the agencies up there are having problems getting folks. Nassau Wallops, same thing, we draw our part-timers. And what's happening is when you have a full-timer that calls out sick or they have to staff for a vacation, they have to hold somebody over. Well, guess what? I get a phone call, between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning. Hey, they're holding me over. So that staffing I was planning on that day for that unit is now out the window. So unfortunately, we're kind of at the mercy of everybody else right now in that staffing spectrum. We're not holding over unless we can't staff that first ambulance, and we've not had to do that in many, many months. I'm not holding over for our second ambulance. Typically, we'll have the third person there like we do overnight, and they can go out and render care. If I'm there, I can make up the crew. So we're still holding our own, but I do want to be forthcoming that there is a problem out there, and hopefully over time it will correct itself. So that's what we're hoping for. Next slide, please. So a lot of action happened September, October. The boat there that you see on the right, that was the 115-foot trawler that sunk offshore here last week. And got that phone call early in the morning, and they were a ways out, but they wanted to make sure we were ready to go when they arrived. Fortunately, there was no injuries. There was, as you've heard reported in the news, a 2-year-old child that was on the boat. And you can see the 2-year-old right there being carried by the mother and in their survival suit. So they had survival suits for everyone that was on that night. So they were very blessed. Only the captain had to be picked up from the helicopter, and rest of them were able to make it to other boats, and the Coast Guard brought them in here. And again, most people didn't even want to be checked out. They just, I'm good, I'm on land, ready to go. And of course, we work with Maryland State Police. What you see there is somebody over on the airfield snapped a picture of one of the patients that we had to fly out. But you never know in this business here. In EMS, you might be on a boat going offshore. You might be on a helicopter flying to Salisbury or Baltimore. It's certainly, you get to do a lot out here, which it sounds like I'm doing a pitch for hiring right now, but we'll see what's going on. Next slide, please. We did our difficult airway training. All of our paramedics that work here at Chincoteague are trained to use paralytics so that we can better manage an airway, trauma, strokes, and so forth. There on the left, yes, that is a rack of ribs that we're using to shove a needle through into what is a simulated lung, although it's a ring full of air, but it accomplishes the very same thing. Gives you the real feel. No one would volunteer to let one another stick a needle in their chest. I guess I'm glad of that from a risk management standpoint. And then again, there on the right, they're doing their training. And again, we try to train as practical as the way we would play it in the field. That's how you're going to be the best. You got to practice like you're going to play. So, we use our surroundings and our environment. Next slide, please. As the chief mentioned, we did do CPR, 2 different classes. Patty instructed those. And we do try our new Public Works employees that we had a few months ago. We've got them CPR certified. So, again, our goal is to keep all of our employees CPR certified. So if they're out here on the street somewhere, maybe even at a meeting, they can jump in and start doing something because, again, that CPR immediately is a really good thing towards saving a life. Next slide, please. So we'll move right on to our emergency management, which has been extremely busy. That slide you see there on the right was from Hurricane Ian as it came through the area, and we all know it washed over the parking lots over there. We were getting some pretty good video from Fish and Wildlife that day. As you know, we opened our EOC for the event. We went virtual for probably about 36 hours, but we actually were in the EOC here physically for 12. We had the National Guard on standby. I know a lot of folks saw those trucks. That is something that we found in one of our after actions that worked really good. Thankfully, we were blessed and didn't have to use them, but they're here, and we're always going to make that available. So if we need them, we have them. We're working on, and actually it's been submitted, but our local emergency management planning grant is a $15,000 grant, $7,500 from outside resources, and we match $7,500. Manager Talbert confirmed in the budget that we did have money to do some upgrades in this room, which hasn't been touched since 1996 when it was built. It's a multi-purpose room, obviously. We use it for accounts meeting, but it's also our emergency operations center. That emergency management money, what perfect thing to do but upgrade our emergency operations center. So that's in the beginning stages of going through the grant assessment, and don't see any problem, but we should get that. And hopefully within the next few months, we will have some upgrades in this room. Give it a little bit of more of a pleasing look and make it more functional because, again, even our phone hookups and connections, they're old school, rudimentary for the most part. So we're going to catch up with the times. We're going to continue to monitor the tropics. We'll talk about that in a minute. The draft after action of the NG-18 that went off this morning is done and out to our planning team. We did well. We used our lessons learned in the past, and we've made significant progress with that. One of the things, if you notice in your report, we've been working with NASA and the 911 Center to try to get radios because we had an issue with NG-17 where a fire occurred at the same time and we were using the same channel, and it was a failure point. This time, I think we only talked on the radio maybe 2 times, three at most. But we have them at our disposal. We have 6 radios that NASA has given to us. They're actually going to take them back and reprogram them a little differently so we even have more channels on them. And then they will stay in my office, and anytime we have an event, we're welcome to use them. I just have to let them know, but certainly we'll have them for the rocket launch. Rocket Lab is planning on a December 1st launch. So again, I believe that's a Thursday afternoon is when that's going. And then 19 in or around March 1st. So a lot of things coming up, a lot of busy times as far as the rocket community goes. Next slide, please. So unfortunately, the tropical Atlantic didn't get the memo that hurricane season ends November the 30th. So as you can see there, that was at 2 o'clock this afternoon. We have Tropical Storm Nicole, which is somewhat subtropical right now, but moral of the story, it's a storm. And then you see that little orange blob up there has about a 50% chance down the road to maybe become something, but should be picked up by a front in the higher atmosphere. Next slide, please. Nicole. Yeah. Nicole is forecast to become a hurricane by Wednesday. As you can see there, it loops across. Again, don't focus on the center of any cone. When you see that on TV or anything, it could be anywhere inside those dotted marks, the center of that storm. Moral of the story is sometime on Friday, late Saturday time frame, that storm is going to be zipping by here pretty fast. But it's going to have some winds, could have a little tide. In the meantime, we have a full moon and a nor'easter, small nor'easter setting up for tomorrow, which will drive our tides high again tomorrow night and into Wednesday. So our tides will already be high when this zips by. Timing is going to be crucial. So we'll continue to monitor, send anything out. One thing I do want to point out, and most of you might have remembered, but Ms. Shotwell asked that we please not have any storms during the Oyster Festival. And, we had a little conversation ahead of time. I came through with that. All right? Next time, be sure to request nothing within the week of Oyster Festival. Okay? All right. Just wanted to point that out there. We'll try not to mess up your event. Okay? Woo. But anyway, again, just because there's a date and time, we can have a storm pop up, and we all know nor'easters are our worst enemy most of the time, and this is the time of year we'll see that. So it's a great time to get prepared. I say it every time I come up here. Next slide, please. Oh, COVID. Yep, we knew we were going to talk about that. But again, COVID, we're beginning to see some management of it. The new variants are hitting some areas a little harder than others. But if you compare to days, 7-day positivity at 8.1%, last year we were at 5.5% at this time. So we're running a little bit higher, but we are waning compared to where we were just a few months ago. And that's, again, like I've said from the beginning, we're going to see this waxing and waning over time. Next slide, please. We did have, I think we're up to a count of like 638. We had one day there, we had 14 in the week jump up. But the last 2 weeks, we've only had 4 or 5 cases pop up. So here locally, we're kind of in that, I don't want to call it a lull, but we certainly aren't as high as some other areas. But again, not everyone is getting tested. They're just staying home and staying away from people because it is cold and flu season as well. But again, EMS remains near last year. We still need to be weather aware because nor'easters, tides, and even snow is on the horizon at this time. The COVID wave, the current one, seems to be waning, and then new variants are coming about in the new cold, flu, and COVID season. So it's something we're going to have to talk about, unfortunately, for some time. But I'll entertain any questions. Yes, ma'am.
Looking at the here under logistics, the ambulance iPads.
Yes, ma'am.
The 3 new iPads mentioned in the report received, they're now in service.
Mm-hmm.
Did they come out of your budget, or did the fire company pay for them?
No, the fire company paid for those. And those new iPads, one went on the for each ambulance to do our reporting of all our patient care. And not only that, but then the required state national data we must submit. However, a caveat to that, the 3 old ones I gave to the fire chief, and I've been working with him and some of my staff to set up fire reporting because they also have to report, and they've been doing that via pen and paper, which is not efficient anymore. So we can actually use the same patient care system we're using to actually document and chart fires as well. There's a different module.
Thank you.
So, yes, ma'am.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Jay.
We have a number of locations that have AEDs and churches, plan on having some at the museum and so forth. Do you have individuals that can actually train people, or rather than just having that unit on the wall? I know time it's very critical. Time is very critical in those types of situations. So I was wondering
We do.
if you do
and we encourage anyone that wants to purchase an AED or even wants to get a CPR class, get in contact with myself or one of my staff members. We can arrange that, get a class up and going. As far as the AED, we teach that as part of our CPR training. And I really encourage it to be, in all the buildings if we could afford it. There's one out here in the building. We have them certainly down at the harbor. We have them down at the Donald Amron Gym. And a few of the churches have them. I've been working with the library here lately. Miss Ryan has called, and we've talked about Miss Walsh called, and we talked about a few, ideas to get an AED there as well. And they had the idea of actually putting it outside, like we have at the harbor in one of the outside boxes. So not only is it accessible to those folks that are in the library, but it'd be accessible to those folks, Robert Reed Park, there on Main Street. So, certainly, if we could get an AED everywhere, that would be great. One thing I can tell you, AED prices have come down. You can buy a unit now for about $1,400 without the outside box and so forth, but certainly the unit. Problem is, the latest ship date, as I've looked, is late fall to midwinter. I can tell you we tried to get one for the Little League for this year to put back there. We have all the supplies. Vernon has the mounting box and all that to put it up there. We still have no AD, and that was April we ordered that. So, but yes, we can do the training for anyone that wants it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Just one second, and the being prepared, and I've said this multiple times. It would be nice if Chincoteague could acquire a high water vehicle. And you and Robbie can work together, and there's got to be a surplus six-wheeler or something somewhere. I know that we had the Humvees, and of course we got the bottom of the barrels, but it'd be nice to have one of those handy in case the guys from across the bay can't get here. We can.
And I will, and as most of you know anyway, but a Nancock Fire Department has a high water vehicle, and they actually lent that to us, and we had it in the station over here ready to go during the event as well. So we actually had 3 high water vehicles on the island at the time, and again we sent a letter to Nancock thanking them, but again they had it out here, but we'll certainly look into it.
Yep, that'd be nice. Thanks. All right. Next on the agenda is committee reports, and leading the committee reports is public safety. Val?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On October the 5th, we had our Public Safety Committee meeting, and after we adopted the agenda, one of the things that was on it was the LPR readers, that's license plate readers, that we're hoping to put at the bridge. I've always said that bridge is one of the best police officers we have. One way on, one way off, that's it. And but we want to put some license plate readers there, and Robbie give us the idea of how much they cost and how they work and things like that. I did ask if there's an Amber Alert, and that was put out, the car was driven with the LPR notify the police department, and he said he believed it would. So it'd be used in a lot of different things. They cost $25. No, take that back. The price is $2,500 per year, right, Robbie?
Yes.
Okay, so it'd be one going off, one coming on, and there's a one-time implementation fee of $250 per camera. The company will set it up, and the town supplies the electric for it. And so the committee voted to send this to council, and everybody that was present was in favor of that. So I don't know if that's something we need to talk about now or a little bit later. Or
It actually goes to budget personnel next.
Which is more like
it's going to come out of the public safety fund. Right. Okay. Next thing we talked about was consider the town unified surveillance system, and Mike's going to get us a couple of prices by the first of the year. And then we adjourn.
Thank you. Next up is Miss Ellen.
We had our cemetery committee meeting on October the 13th. We discussed on some things that we need to do at some of the cemeteries. As a lot of you know, we do not, the town of Chincoteague does not own the cemeteries. We help take care of them and see that they're taken care of. But we do not own them. They are private property. They're not public property as someone wanted to come and have a party here on them. So they're not public property. They're private property. So our cleanup week is this week, the 6th through the 12th, which is Saturday. A lot of us are getting too old to go pulling and hauling on a lot of the brush. The town has been gracious to send the public works people out, and they have. We had bamboo that was growing on our cemetery, one of the cemeteries, not our cemetery, but one of the cemeteries, and the public works crew went up and has cut it down. We have adopted a ordinance on bamboo, letting it run over on someone else, what we can do. And there is also a state law that is much stricter than what the town has adopted. So I have asked the chair of the ordinance committee to look at it again and maybe adopt that state law along with what we've already done here as local. But what the cleanup week was for is for like people to go and just check around their graves or family graves and pick it up, clean it up, you know. Okay, I think that was about all. We didn't do a whole lot.
Hey, thank you, Ms. Richardson. Next up is a report from the harbor. And a lot of the things that we covered in September have been updated since then. Memorial Park boat ramp, we had an update on that. What we were going to do there, and all that has come to fruition. We're ready to move forward on getting that fixed. Bids go out the 18th, Mike? Or bid packets?
It'll be advertised on the 7th, this Friday.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it'll be advertised Friday the 11th. And the packets will be available thereafter.
Right. Okay.
Bid date's the 30th.
And we'll be moving forward on getting the Memorial Park boat ramp back open after it gets fixed. Fuel prices are what they are. We do great down there at the harbor. Right now, they're being utilized by the commercial guys who are going out conking. So we make a good profit on the fuel that goes out of the harbor. We also talked about the floating dock, and if you haven't been down to the harbor, go down there. The new dock is installed and looks good. The contractor we used was in there, dismantled the old dock and put the new dock up in short order. Did a good job. Other than that, we didn't discuss a whole lot. So I'll move on to Public Works Committee. Ms. Richardson.
Thank you, sir. Public Works Committee, we met September the 7th. Mostly, the main thing that we discussed was the ARPA funds, what we were going to use it for, and that was, Mr. Talbert gave us a review of the Cropper Street project, and we're supposed to be, gave us a cost to replace the water line, resurface the road, resurface the sidewalk, mill the old asphalt, and the drainage work on Cropper Street. The total project cost is $441,932. The ARPA fund has been approved to cover $128,000, and the town's portion is $313,932. And of course, I think Mr. Talbert, the intention was to take this from the roads fund, but didn't we decide not to? That we were using the ARPA money?
I believe so, yes, ma'am. We also have some paving money available.
Right, and Mr. Talbert is going to be putting together a spring paving list, but that might wind up with Mr. Parks working on it.
It will most definitely go on.
So, and other than that, I think that's pretty well all that we covered down there. Mr. Talbert has already briefed you on a lot of the other things on the Brianna Park and across the street. And I'd like to say, welcome, Mr. Parks. I think you'll do a great job, and Mr. Talbert is looking forward to a little read. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next up is Vice Mayor Bott with Budget Personnel.
Budget personnel met in the first part of September, and our meeting minutes are somewhat not worth looking into because they were sent to council workshop in September, where we were basically dealt with allocation of the surplus left over from FY22. And if you look at the September meeting, September workshop minutes, you'll see that we finalized those allocations. And just to remind everyone, it was one was Cropper Street sidewalks, which I'm talking about. Second phase of the center's HVAC, upgrade audio visual system at the center, and installation of a new gym floor at the Amron Center. And then we all voted at that meeting to move forward with allocations that we had kind of touched on in our budget personnel workshop.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Next up is Mr. Savage with the Ordinance Committee report.
Our original ordinance committee was held on September 8th, and we were addressing as was mentioned, the open burning ordinance. We had some minor changes that we agreed to make and pass on to the council. And actually, at the October 20th meeting, we made a motion, and it was approved to propose the open burning ordinance amending Chapter 26 of the Code of Chincoteague by adding Article 4 on open burning. And we did that was transitioned through the Virginia Pollution Control. They had a small adjustment on that, and that was handled and approved here at the October 20th meeting.
Alrighty, thank you, Jake. Next up is Councilman Taylor with the Recreation Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Recreation and Community Enhancement Committee meeting met on September 27th, 2022. The first thing we had on the agenda was a recommendation of the purchase of a spinner, like was in Brianna Connors Park, as quoted by the Third Little Pig, to replace the pirate ship at Memorial Park. And all the present were in favor of the motion. The second thing we talked about was the location of the two chess tables at Brianna's Connors Park. Next thing we had on the agenda was to select a site for beach volleyball at Memorial Park, and we decided to put it between the pavilion and left field at Memorial Park. And I think both of them would like to take to council, but we're probably going to order them and probably put them in the spring, so we won't have to go through the winter. And then we did have a closed session, which we'll probably be talking about later.
All right. Thank you, Gene Wayne.
Thank you.
All right. Need a motion to adopt the minutes from our September 5th, September 15th, and our October 20th workshops.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you, too. All right. Consider the tax delay, Mr. Talbert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We got word from the county here several weeks ago that due to Hurricane Ian down in Florida, some of the folks that they deal with tax data were going to be delayed in producing that data, and it's slowing downhill to the town of Chincoteague and to the other towns on the Eastern Shore. Long story short is we received our tax data from the county late as a result, and we have to take our data, I think most of you know, and we send it off to Southern Software, who is our software provider, our financial software provider, and they redo the data into a format that we can use to actually print the tax bills. So that usually takes a few weeks, and now we're going to get that back a little late, so we'll be late mailing them out. And what I'm asking here is that we extend the deadline, which is by code December 5th, to pay taxes in the town of Chincoteague. I'm asking that we extend that deadline to December 31st this year to give everyone the same period of time in which to get their taxes paid.
Do you need a motion?
I'd like to have a motion and a vote, if we could, sir.
I have a question.
Sure.
Would it make a difference if we just extended it 1 month instead of December 31st? We did January 5th, or does that complicate
Well, no,
office
but,
matters?
no, it wouldn't complicate. I mean, a few extra days is not gonna complicate. It does straddle a holiday, so, I mean, in the office, we're shooting to have it done, you know, before the holidays are upon us, or right there, but, no, a few extra days are not gonna hurt anything.
Anything question? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept staff recommendation for extending the window as presented.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I'll be getting a text from my finance director saying, that's wonderful, thank you.
I'm sure the citizens of Chincoteague will appreciate the extra month also. All righty, we need a resolution and a deed of gift, Mr. Talbert.
Yes, sir, and this is a resolution, as you know, Racing Moon LLC is, the principal there is Mr. David Landsberger. They have some surplus property they would like to donate to the town. It involves 2 lots that are near on the south side of Assateague West. These lots are, for the most part, we've looked at them before, for the most part, they're wetlands. Mr. Landsberger would like to see them donated to the town if the town maintains the lots, or retains the lots, I should say, and does not use them to build on or sell to a developer, which everyone was in favor of. Now, the benefit to the town is that the more open space that we retain, and by open space defined as space that we don't have anything built on, the more we have, the better CRS rating we can get, and the lower our flood insurance rating can be for the town of Chincoteague, which lowers everybody's flood insurance rates on the island. So having additional open space is beneficial to us, and we've actually, even you see the resolution here, the resolution that mentions that several times, that we will use this property for open space and flood control, and Mr. Landsberger is all for that. So what you see before you is a resolution allowing the town to accept the lots as with the deed of gift that's attached. We would need a motion to sign the resolution and accept the lots.
I'll entertain that motion.
I'll make the motion to accept the lots.
Second. Motion and second. All those in favor of accepting Mr. Landsberger's gift, say aye.
Aye.
Thank y'all. All right. Next up is the mutual aid agreement. Mr. Talbert.
Mr. Mayor, I have our emergency services director here, so he's going to help me out, he and Chief Fisher. But we had a mutual aid agreement with the U.S. Department of the Interior, which is Fish and Wildlife Services. And basically, you guys stop me when I say something wrong here. Basically, we provide them assistance when required, and they provide us assistance likewise. The mutual aid agreement sets the structure in place on how that takes place, how you order it, how you pay for it, and the record is that have to be kept, that sort of thing. Basically, Mr. John Cashbaum is the refuge manager, sent us this updated version. We corrected a few of the contacts, and Brian checked it out and made sure it still complied with the law. And Robbie's also reviewed it, so we'd like to get a vote on adopting this current mutual aid agreement with U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What has anything, you said you made some changes, but overall, has anything major changed from the
I
ones from
believe
before?
all we changed was the contact information.
Contacts.
That's
the,
it.
The body has remained the same, and it meets all the requirements of FEMA. I think it's 44. I don't know, one of them numbers, but yeah, it's been referenced to that as well.
Does Do they, in lieu of paying taxes, does the refuge, do we get anything out of them from, I didn't think so. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm bringing this up. So, the water bill comes here to us, or?
Yes, we also provide a dispatch service for them.
I
They
know.
pay us about $12,000 a year for that.
Okay, but, all right, yeah. Which doesn't trickle down this way, or up this way.
We have verbally offered them more assistance when they need it, because sometimes their staff seems to be spread out a little bit thin, and they might need us to patrol a time or two, and we've gladly done it.
I see here under the contact information for Chief Fisher, it still has R. Mills.
That's an old. I'm sorry, the old one got in there, but we've updated all that.
Okay.
I'm sure Randy wouldn't mind getting the call. Usually Kim probably was the one that did it. Anyhow, I'll entertain a motion for continuing the mutual aid agreement with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
So moved.
Motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All righty. Thank y'all. Next up is council comments. Starting to my right, Ms. Richardson.
No, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Bowden?
Yeah, of course I do. I wish Mike had stayed. I used to work for the Beacon and the Eastern Shore News years ago, and when they were bought out by the mega giant Gannett newspapers and TV stations and everything, of course the layoffs were, across the board and everything, and they no longer have an office in Salisbury or the main office in Salisbury with the Daily Times, and they incorporated all these newspapers. And I was in Shorestop right before I came here, and we had this discussion the other night at the museum. There's a stack of beacons in the Shorestop right now from last week that are just sitting there. And so the Beacon is owned by a national organization where the Post is local. That's the most local paper you're going to get. And if you look at the Beacon sometimes, there are several articles in there that pertain to something happening in Salisbury or, wherever. So I'm going to disagree with Mr. Almquist and say that, the Beacon is not what I call a genuine local paper anymore. And I'm not sure who told him also about that the cigarette tax was targeted to tourism. I don't feel that way, and I don't think we ever discussed it that way. So I'll probably go by and have a conversation with him on that. And I want to apologize. I misspoke a while ago about a vote on the LPR readers, because down in here it did say forward to council the purchase of the LPR system. So it didn't say go to budget personnel, but
That would be on me. I apologize.
that's okay. I just want to make sure. And tomorrow's election day. We've got all four that are running in this room. I wish everyone good luck. It's the three that are up here that are running know very well what it's like. Mr. Smith out there, if you end up in one of these seats, I wish you the best of luck. I'm 6 years later. I'm still learning, and probably always will. And Louisa, she left. I really appreciate what she said about the tents outside. One side left space for the other one. And that's what we have to do in this country. We have to. You can't just not like somebody because they're for this party or that party. The world cannot work that way. You have got to come together for everybody that's there in the middle. And I hope we see more of that coming along, but I don't know. Anyway, that's all I have. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Bott?
I have nothing at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Savage? Nothing. All righty. Well, my normal speech. I'll hold off on.
Hey.
But
they're down they're down the road, son.
I don't even want to talk about it. The Yankees. Anyhow, so tomorrow, please use your democratic right and go vote. If you don't vote, you can't say anything. That's what I've always been told. So hopefully the weather will hold out. It won't be a rainy day. Gotcha. So I'll take it over to the members that aren't here. Gene Wayne.
Yes, I certainly want to pray for our town and pray for our country, especially tomorrow. Just so people like me, sis, can get along. And I think, and I know every time we've had our events out here that we definitely try to get along and I think enjoy each other's company. And I hope the rest of the country can do the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Brother Billy?
I agree with you, Mr. Mayor. If you don't get out and vote, you certainly can't complain, and I wish everybody running tomorrow, locally and otherwise, the best of luck. So that's it.
All righty. Thank you. So now I'll touch on what I said earlier. I still got to say it, Roll Tide. Oh, boy. Yeah. Hey, it's close. Lost 2 games by 4 points. Anyhow, sore subject. I will entertain a motion that the council convene a closed meeting pursuant to section 2.2-3711A5 Code of Virginia to discuss and review potential business opportunities.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All righty.
Aye.
Thank y'all.